Hey, what's going on, F1 fans? Jad Santana here. Silly season is still in full effect, and we've got a lot of drama going on in F1. Formula One racing is really heating up as we get ready for the next couple of weeks before we get back into it with Spa. Um, Make sure you guys keep it locked. We've got hitting the apex coming at you right now. Let's go. Buenas noches, señorita y señorito.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches. I really want to address one thing before we get it going. And as you can see, I put on the glasses because that was it, man. I was staring at a screen for more than 12 hours today already. So, Vish, you can attest to that. Moni, you can probably attest to it as well. There he is already. Lights out with Jack Daniels, baby. Um, I want to address this because I found it very funny and very interesting. But what the hell were we all doing awake at 4 o'clock in the morning?
I'm
Huh?
sorry, but I wake up
This
every day for work at that time.
this was hilarious to me though, because I'm like, I see Moni write something, and then I see Vish write this, and I go, hold on a second, what are we all doing? And we're all typing. This is great, by the way. That was great. 4 o'clock in the morning. God, go get some rest, guys. Jeez.
I'll take a
My
nap on the
goodness.
show if you want. The ratings won't be there, but you know.
Oh man, listen, slow times. Silly season is definitely in full effect. Welcome back to hitting the apex, Jack. And I don't know, Fernie's probably moving some planes around somewhere. So because we missed him on the Kane show as well.
Yeah.
But Vish and Moni, how are you guys doing tonight?
Good, good.
Good.
How's F1 treating you so far? Is it kind of crazy with all the rumors, or has it been? Has this silly, put it this way, has this silly season not been as eventful as maybe we thought it would be, or has it been more than what we thought? What do you guys think?
I think it's been a healthy level of chaotic.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think the reason it's stuck a little bit is Piastri's on two teams right now. So so until that unblocks, there's everyone's kind of in a wait and see mode.
That's
Well,
funny.
you know, I think that's a good segue to I want to get it started because I know we're going to talk a little bit about Ocon at Alpine. We've got a little bit of drama. Is there possible drama with Mick Schumacher? What's going on with AlphaTauri? I know there's those are the things that we're going to kind of cover, but I think that this was a great segue to talk a little bit about Daniel Ricciardo, his contract at F1 at McLaren, what's going on. What's going? Jack never ceases to amaze me with his comments. I love it.
No, Jack, I'm still using the same conditioner.
Listen, we could use it. We could use a shampoo sponsor. So do
Yeah.
what you got to do, Moni. Get that hair wavy, girl. Um,
I got you.
uh, are they kind of there's a lot of words that well, is McLaren's not treating him right with regards to Danny Ricardo. What's going on with the whole Ricardo situation? Has he been kind of what's the word that I can look for? Has he been kind of crackbacked, I guess, right? Or sideswiped by sideswiped is probably a better term for F1. Has he been sideswiped by McLaren? And what's his future at F1? And obviously it'll tie into Piastri and McLaren and so on and so forth. We'll start off with you, Vish. What's your thoughts on that?
So I think he's being treated fairly based on his performance. He's been terrible for 2 years in McLaren. He's significant. I mean, the point total right now: Norris 76, Ricardo 19, and it's not reliability. He's just been that slow. So I think if it wasn't Ricardo, who we've seen win races, who's really popular, everyone would be wondering why they didn't do this sooner. So now he did. oddball win a race last year, so he kind of has that, which is just weird that he happened to win a race because he's been pretty much terrible in every other race. So I think they're just done with him for whatever reason. He's not either one of two things. Either he's lost it, like he's just over it, and every driver fades away eventually, except for Lewis Hamilton. But
He had to. He did it. He did it.
But or is it the car? Right? Is it just like he doesn't jive with that car and it doesn't fit his driving style and it's just never gonna work out, right? Like I mean that, and I think either way, there's no solution. Like there's no solution like where we're sitting here next year because he's got a contract through next season, right? There's zero chance we're sitting here next year where he's like ahead of Norris.
Well, have they not already said, hey, we're gonna kind of buy you out or whatever the case is?
Well, they're working on that. Well, there's all sorts of rumors going on. First of all, did they actually just guarantee Piastri the reserve seat next year? That's one of the rumors that he actually, they signed him. He'll be the reserve driver in 2023, and then have the seat in 2024. Just in case they couldn't work things out with Ricciardo and he had to drive. Right. So that's kind of apparently one of the rumors of how the deal is structured. So no, that hasn't been agreed to yet. If I'm Ricciardo, I say pay my money. I'm not giving up a cent. Like you owe me this money. So how much are they willing to pay to make him go away is really where it's at. Or do they just write it out for another year?
Or him and Cyril can get back together and figure something out. That would be interesting, right? Moni, is this it for Ricciardo? Does McLaren need to move on from him? Is Piastri the future there? What and it's ironic it's another Australian, right? But what's going on? What are your thoughts on this whole fiasco with Piastri and Ricciardo?
Yeah, to me it does seem like McLaren is kind of done with Danny. I mean, at the end of the day, I have to agree with everything that Vish mentioned. He's obviously been he's performed a little less, of course, this season, and Norris is doing really well. And I want to ask you guys: do you think this is karma for what Danny did to Renault? Because at this point, I feel like everything might be coming back around to him. And on top of that, I mean, he just hasn't been performing. And it seems that McLaren, they're really hungry for. I mean, Norris himself, he's a young driver. So I think that McLaren is a little hungry for younger drivers. And I mean, to be honest with you, Piastri, I feel he's I don't know if the easy way out would be the right way to put it, but he's right there, so it makes sense. It makes sense that McLaren kind of just reached out and said, we can go ahead with you. Let's see how we can work this out. I don't
know. I don't know. I mean, I guess, if you believe, I'm not saying I don't, but if you believe in that stuff, yeah, karma could be kicking him in the ass. I mean, he hasn't driven great. He hasn't been a great driver at McLaren at all. And like you mentioned, Vish, I mean, that victory, that, the win last year, I don't want to say it was a fluke, but we kind of saw, I don't want to say we saw great driving from Ricciardo. I think he caught some breaks as well, obviously, but it's fun. It's exciting to see when he does get on the podium, right?
For whatever reason, that week the McLaren was just there. Like Norris finished second, so
that's crazy. I
mean they 1-2'd that race. So it just suited the low downforce nature of that car suited Monza. We'll see if that's still the case this year. So it just, it aligned for him, and they did not let Norris attempt to pass him. They told him to hold second, so that's how that race ended. But just keep in mind, that one race last year is more points than he has this entire year. Like, that's how bad he's been. So, and I think he was brought in there because, as Moni said, Norris is young. They wanted the veteran driver to bank points next to him, and it's the opposite that's happening.
Yeah.
If you recall the partnership that Norris had with Sainz, like, they were both pushing each other. They were neck and neck. I believe Sainz finished ahead of him every year they were in the car together, but it was always, a couple of points here or there. And then Ricciardo came in here just decidedly worse. I mean, egregiously worse. And
Yes,
without,
Jack. Yes, Jack. I know he's still hanging on to it. I don't know if Vish is still hanging on to it. Um, but
I
listen,
mean, it's the
I like
only
McLaren.
win that McLaren's had in like a decade. So yes, yes, I am. But it's. I mean, I'm not hanging on to Danny Rick though. I'll tell you that much.
No, I don't think any McLaren fan is at this point, unless you're just a Danny Ricciardo
I will
fan.
say this though, like I know Piastri has won at every level he's in. This is a lot of money and attention being thrown at someone that has not really driven in F1 before. It's kind of bizarre. Like, I mean, imagine the pressure that's going to be on him to live up to this. You have two teams. This might end up in court, by the way.
Yeah,
So you have these
Wild,
two
man.
teams fighting over.
most definitely will.
Yeah, if for nothing else than to force like McLaren to give Alpine some money or something, right? I
Yeah,
mean
right.
that's probably where this ends.
Hmm.
But both these teams fighting over someone that has not driven an F1 car in a race before. It's like the pressure on him at the end of this is going to be just immense.
Is this the most hype that you've seen for a driver in a really long time? I mean, was the hype like this for Max? Was the hype like this for some of these other guys? Or is this just more, is it a little over hyped as well? No,
Um,
yeah. What do you guys
it's
think?
it's not that it's over. I don't think anyone would have. I think it's just the bizarre contract thing, and McLaren did the same thing in IndyCar. They signed a driver that technically belonged to another team because they found a loophole, and then the other team and exactly the same thing announced him as their driver, and he's like, "No, I'm not. I signed with McLaren,"
Oh,
and that held up. So maybe they're really good with their contracts. But so I think the attention is simply because of the process. No, Max was hyped as future world champion from day one. When Hamilton broke in, like he beat Alonso, who was a two-time champion in the same car. So I mean, there's a history of like young drivers getting hyped. It's just he's got to justify the pain this is causing because as much as we just talked about how Danny Rick's not performing, I don't think anyone would have said, McLaren's got to see this contract out. You have Norris in there; he's young anyway. Just like let it ride next year and then figure it out. Instead, they've gone this route.
right.
So they basically saying we couldn't do that because it has to be Piastri. Because if he stays with Alpine, we can't ever get this kid. So that is kind of the pressure they're putting on him. Like he's got to compete with and or beat Norris to justify this. And that's a high bar.
Yep.
Also, I mean, if you think about it, the way that this whole Piastri thing like actually happened, I mean, it was so public, right? It like happened on social media, so like everyone just had like, immediate access to this. I guess a good word to describe it would be like bizarre situation between two teams super interested in a junior driver, and if I wonder if we should give Alpine the benefit of the doubt because at the end of the day, if they do take this to court and whatever, and Alpine tries to get a certain lump sum of money from McLaren, um, Alpine is still kind of like the owner of Piastri's rights, as a driver. So I don't know if it would be safer to just give Alpine the benefit of the doubt and say, I really doubt that Piastri could really make it to McLaren unless, they
Well,
give a nice amount of
that
money to McLaren, to Alpine.
that's kind of the question is exactly what's in the contracts. There are rumors that they had to confirm him by the end of July
Mm-hmm.
in order to retain his rights in F1 or to prevent him from signing with another team. And Fernando Alonso knew that and intentionally waited until after the deadline to move to screw them over, which is definitely an Alonso type of move.
Typical Alonso.
So that's the dispute. Alpine says they own his rights, but they're
Mm-hmm.
also, if you read between what they're saying not only own his rights, but we've invested in him and we need that money back,
Right.
essentially. So they're already kind of backing off a little bit that they actually own his rights, and I agree at some level they might have some kind of contractual ownership there, but the fact that they would release the press release without telling him to me means that they aren't that confident in it. Because if you were going to do that, you would go to him and say, "Look, we know this is airtight. It can't go anywhere else. We're going to announce you, like, just get on board and do this." Instead, it was, let's just sneakily do this, not have any quotes from him, almost put pressure on him to then have to push back on it, which he did, probably a little bit more forcefully than they thought he was going to.
Hmm.
But that whole thing leads me, like, you don't do that if you're sure you're right. You just say, look,
Right.
we don't need him to drive till next season. Let's go to his representatives, explain the situation, say, look, this is the contract, this is why you have to drive for us. You can't sign with McLaren, and just worked it out behind the scenes, then announced it with Piastri involved in that. This felt like a power play because they did not have at least an airtight legal case, and they were trying to publicly pressure him, and it blew up in their face.
Oh boy. All right. Well,
Well, you know what
I think
doesn't, Jazz, though? You break will fix. That they can fix a lot of things. They can't fix this, but
no, they can't fix that, but they surely can fix some other things. So if you'd like to segue to that, that would be perfect because you break will fix repairs damaged wheels from curb rash, cracks, or bends, all under one roof with in-house blah, 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 blah. All under one roof with in-house powder coating, CNC machining, and polishing. They also offer new custom wheels and tires from your favorite brands such as Vossen, Forgiato, Fuel Off Road, and more. They now even offer no credit checks, financing up to $5,000 for a new set of wheels. Fast turnaround times on all repairs, and they even provide vehicles. Excuse me. They even provide loaner wheels in many cases. I don't know how I saw vehicles there, but U Break Will Fix is your total automotive wheel solution located in North Miami, right off of Biscayne Boulevard and Northeast 146th Street. Check out some of their great work across all social media from Instagram to Facebook. That's at U Break Wheel Fix, the letter U Break Wheel Fix, or online at ubreakwheelfix.com. You can even give them a call, 305-748-0112, 305-748-0112, and schedule your appointment today. You Break Wheel Fix, changing the way you see wheels.
so so we should Jack mentioned this earlier too.
We
So
shouldn't.
I don't know if everyone saw this, but this is not related to the F1 car directly, but Ferrari is basically recalling every car they manufactured since 2005 because the brakes are defective.
Oh, that's good.
So that type of brake, you brake real fix cannot be responsible for fixing.
Fantastic.
That is so yeah, just every car. If you own a, I know the affluence of the people on this call as well as in the chat.
Of
Take your
course.
Ferraris in; they're being recalled. If anything after 2005, go take it to your Ferrari shop.
I
and get it
already
fixed.
took mine in.
Yeah, no, we gotta all take our Ferraris in. So.
They even take my little Hot Wheels, so that was good. Now that they should definitely do. Breaking F1 news: Ferrari calls nearly every F1 strategist since 2005 for brain damage.
Dude, that's insane.
That's rough. Brain
No,
damage
wait.
is
I
rough.
have. If you guys want that energy, Jack is gonna like this one. Give me 1 second. You ready?
Until we smoke everybody in Spa.
I don't know if you guys. Nah.
The only that's smoking is your engine.
I'll send it out. I'll send it out.
Touche, bitch. Touche.
Go. Who's going?
What are you going? Where are you going?
What just
No,
happened?
no,
Yeah,
no.
what's going on here?
I was gonna show you guys some. I was gonna show something that I knew Jack would like, and of course, you by default, you guys. But I'd rather send it out because it's just trust. I'll send it out. But
Do it. Do it.
Do it.
keep going.
Oh man. All right. Question. Is Esteban Ocon the future of Alpine as their number one driver? Moni is saying yes. Moni, why? Why is he the number one?
I think so. I think so. It sounds like he really does have a solid future. I believe that the people at Alpine they believe in him and they see the potential that he has to be the number one driver on the team. I mean, also, what's his name? Can you guys remind me of his name? The team principal.
Omar
Omar
Schafnau.
Schnaffenhauer
Eso,
Sniffers.
Schaffnauer, something like that. I feel
Yeah,
so.
yeah, it's Schafnau. Yeah.
Um, if I'm not mistaken, he
Great
won.
beer, by the way. Great beer, Schnaffhauer.
I gotta try it. I didn't know it was a thing, but thank you for the
I
recommendation.
don't think it is a thing.
I don't think it is, but that's okay.
Oh, what the heck? Uh, what was his? He
We'll just call him Omar. He's American anyway, so we can be on a first name basis with him. We'll just go with Omar.
Omar. Okay, I believe Omar. Thank you. I believe Omar worked with Ocon back when he was in Air Force India. No, so I think that I mean I don't want to say they go way back, but it's not a relationship that I guess recently started, and I feel that he feels comfortable with the the progress that he has seen in Ocon, and now that someone with such weight as Alonso leaves, I think it seems like a right moment to kind of give Ocon the spotlight, and to it seems that they are ¿cómo se dice? Comprometido.
Or, wow, you got me there. But they're committed. They're
Committed. Thank
committed.
you. They are committed. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
committed.
They are committed to helping Ocon grow, and I feel like it's his time is coming.
I think they're also invested in Ocon as well, right?
Yeah, they're invested in him. He's the default number one
He's
driver
not a
now.
bad driver, by the way,
No,
guys.
no,
He's a really good
it's
driver.
kind
I
of
think
it's
he's a really
kind.
good driver.
Yeah, I feel like I'm missing something with him because
Oh,
I've
Fernando said
always
invested.
had a high opinion of his driving ability, and he has just been kicked around the entire grid. So he was, as Moni mentioned, at Force India. They threw him out. Essentially, he became a Mercedes reserve driver, ostensibly to replace Bottas. They jumped Russell over him and tossed him out. He goes to Alpine. So it's now he's the number one driver for sure because they signed him long term, and apparently no one else wants to drive the other car. So
It's crazy.
so I do wonder if he's like. I've always thought he's fast and he's under control when he's driving. I think he's a really good driver. I don't know what I'm missing both with him and with Alpine. Why does no one want to drive that car? It is faster than the McLaren this year. It's the fourth best car on the grid. It's in the top half. It's got its own engine supplier, which means if you're trying to win ultimately, that is one of the big ways to do it. Now, is the Renault the best engine? No, but as they develop it over time, what if it becomes the best engine? You have an advantage over the rest of the cars in the grid. So there's so much to like about that setup. What is so broken there that Alonso intentionally screwed them, and then Piastri does not want to go into the program? Like he's been a Renault junior driver, went through their whole ranks, and he's like, no, I don't want to get in that car. Something's broken over there, and and I don't know what it is, and I wonder if that's going to impact Ocon as well. We should point out all the hype around Alonso. It feels like every broadcast they focus on him. Oh, look what he's doing here. Look what he's doing there. Ocon is beating him this year,
Mm-hmm.
pretty comfortably.
Right, I was about to say pretty
So
comfortable.
all
Yeah.
the hype on Alonso, Ocon's been the better driver. So I think he's probably ready to be a number one driver. I don't know what's wrong with that team, to be honest, and why no one seems to want to drive there because it seems like a good place to land. But I think the one thing that could, whoever they eventually get in that second seat, if that person starts beating him, that's not going to be good for him at all.
Here's my thing, right? I don't know. It has to be the right person in that seat, that's willing to understand and willing to realize that Ocon, even though unproven, right? He did win a race last year, okay? Or was it last year or the year before?
It was Hungary last year.
Was it Hungary last year? Okay, so Hungary last year, we've seen that he's been able to be competitive in that Alpine. I think that it has to be the right person. It can't be a guy that's going to go in there and think that they're going to. I don't know that maybe they need to go in there knowing that they're going to be the number two driver. That's just my thing, right? And if you bring in a guy that's ultra, I think that's why Fernando Alonso left essentially because he's supposed to be that number one guy, yet he's getting crushed by Ocon, who's now really the number one guy there. And then of course he's going to do these dirty dealings behind their back, and then eventually leave. And now he's going to be with Aston Martin next year. But I think it has to be the right guy. Who's that right guy? That's the question, right? Is it just a new guy, a new kid on the block? I hate to say it that way, but um, is it a new driver? Is it an indie driver? Is it someone that's a reserve driver elsewhere? Like, what do they do there? Do they bring in this kid? Is it a kid like Fittipaldi? Is it a kid like Sargent? And I'm just naming some of the more popular, um, younger drivers that have an opportunity. Or is it a guy like Schumacher, which obviously we'll talk a little bit more about in a second, but is that where that how that fits in there, Vish? Like, does it have to be that kind of driver, someone that's just going to come up the ranks and knows that, yeah, he can be competitive and he can race, he can race and he can do his thing, but it's Ocon's going to be the number one guy there, and he needs to know that when a push comes to shove, that's how it's going to be.
Well, I don't know that Alpine knows what they want. They fully intended to extend Fernando Alonso's decrepit ass in that seat. So now, like, they were literally deciding between the oldest guy on the grid and Piastri, who has never driven an F1 before.
Right.
So do they actually have a plan for that seat?
Yeah.
Don't know. I don't know what they're going to do from here, assuming it's not Piastri. I do think it's important for Ocon to, whoever it is, at least in the first year, got to beat him. You can't have been with the team for 3 years, have driven the car as much as he has, be that confident, and just lose straight out the gates like that. So I do think he needs to. Turns out what they do with it, I think they're still trying. I can't believe they're. I guess it's maybe just financial reasons, but I can't imagine they actually want Piastri in there right now.
Yeah,
that would not be a good working situation.
no, not at all. I think there'd be a lot of animosity there.
Do you guys think there's a remote possibility of Danny even thinking to go back to Alpine?
I think yes. I think there's a shot. There's a remote possibility. I think it's more than remote. I don't know about you, Vish, but I think so.
What, Piastri?
No, Ricardo.
Oh, sorry.
Ricardo going to Alpine.
I guess he didn't leave there on the best terms for his own
Right.
fault.
Right.
But then again, there's different people in charge now. It's not Cyril. It's Omar.
That's not Cyril,
So
right.
two people's last names we're not going to try to pronounce, but it's not. It's but so and it's necessity, right? He needs a seat. He doesn't want to go to one of the other teams. Like, he's not going to get Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, and he's obviously getting thrown out of McLaren. It's Alpine, or it's a big step down.
Right.
So and even Aston Martin's not open because Lance Stroll's kid gets a permanent seat. So he doesn't. If he wants to stay in F1, that's kind of the only option. I don't think he wants to go drive a Haas or like an Alfa Romeo if that comes open or whatever. He definitely. I don't think he would go to AlphaTauri, the Red Bull junior team, after driving the Red Bull, right? I mean, so it's just like he doesn't really have options. So for him, it's kind of like leave F1 or kind of make it work at Alpine. Whether they would take him, they don't have that many great options either. So maybe they would. Maybe it's just like both of them are like, look, this is the best we can do.
Could there be like a swapping situation between McLaren?
I mean, anything can happen. So sure, I think from there's so much money involved because Ricardo makes so much money that I think
That's the
either
issue,
way,
is that money, man.
cash is gonna flow to Alpine. I feel even in the
Right.
like I think if they were to swap, I think McLaren would have to agree to pay some of Ricardo's salary anyway. Like,
Yeah.
I because there's no way Alpine's gonna agree to take that salary on. So
There's a lot of money there, and that's going to be the biggest question mark. So, speaking of, well, you did say that he doesn't want to drive for Haas, but listen, there may be a seat open at Haas, so there may be somebody new driving there. Mick Schumacher, man, talk to me about how has he okay? Has he been a disappointment, or are we just not we meaning us, but like the fans just wanting more from him because of the last name, right? Is Haas going to let him go? Is Ferrari going to let him go? You know, remove him from the young driver program. What's next in line for Mick Schumacher? Does he have a spot maybe with another team? Does he go to Alpine? What happens with him there?
So just real quick on Jack's question, I don't believe so, but it would basically
Oh,
be
I
a
missed it.
negotiated. It would be a negotiated settlement essentially. They'd have to work it out like and sign something new,
No.
and obviously Piastri would be fine going to McLaren, so it'd be like working out with Ricardo, working out the money thing, and just agreeing to like transfer the contracts.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't already be built into the contract. It would, they'd have to sign something new.
Right.
In terms of Mick, yeah, so he was negotiating with Haas apparently, and then when Vettel retired, Vettel kind of, I think everyone's probably aware Vettel is kind of a mentor slash hero to Mick. So he mentioned, yeah, it'd be great if Mick got in that seat, and Mick started like kind of sending out feelers to Austin Martin and Haas, and then obviously immediately like Alonso took that seat, and so um, yeah, so he kind of burned some bridges at Haas, and they're like, "You're not even that good, f you," and they kind of stopped negotiating with him on his contract. And apparently, also Ferrari has kind of soured on him in terms of because you got to understand. Remember, one of the reasons, other than his last name, that he's in Haas is he's holding the Ferrari junior seat at Haas. There is a
Right.
seat that they have where they have a junior driver in there, and apparently Ferrari's kind of also soured on him, so he might be short for these parts. His performances certainly haven't really
Well,
given
listen,
any reason.
Ferrari may switch their strategies and go to like plan W and bring them back. You know, and
Yeah, that's true. That's
that's
true.
I had to make a joke of my own team. I'm sorry, I had
Yeah, no, yeah. Who knows? By the time Ferrari gets to play at X, he might be coming back around.
to. Oh man. Um, it's a shame. I like the kid. I don't think Yeah, yeah. Jack said he's 23 years old. Yeah, he's young.
He's shown nothing.
But he
I mean, to be
hasn't
honest,
really.
he's shown absolutely nothing.
I mean, Magnussen has been the much better driver for Haas, right? Let's be
Which
honest.
is good and I mean Magnuson's a very seasoned.
He's
He's
been
been
around for
around
a
for,
while. Yeah,
but he also hopped in that car like a week before the season started without any prep time and immediately beat Mick, who had been driving it all winter testing and all. So
right.
that's not great. I mean, there's nothing. I think we need to honestly ask ourselves this question: different last name. We're telling him to go to IndyCar or something, right?
Yeah, I think so. I
Go
think
drive
so.
Formula E, right? That's what we're telling someone with a different last name.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to see him being a legitimate contender
And
in Formula One
from the
right
Ferrari
now.
perspective, do you ever see this person succeeding in a Ferrari?
No, right now you rather have Giovinazzi.
Well, maybe not, but
Oh man.
I mean, so they're trying to groom their young drivers, right? And like, is Mick really it? Probably not. So I think they're kind of like, time to move on here.
Yeah.
I did read that. I read that Schumacher's seat in Haas might be particularly in jeopardy because there is this F2 driver. I think his name is Felipe Felipe Drugovic. I think it is Felipe Drugovic. He's Brazilian, and from what I gathered, might be putting their eyes on this kid. Again, this is like pure speculation. And then, with this in mind, let's say, with this in mind, do you guys think that up until right now, like second of the night, this very second of the night, has
Right now, 10-10
now
with 10 seconds. Gotcha.
correct right now has Alpha Tauri, have they confirmed Tsunoda a seat or no?
No.
No,
No.
right? So would it be too crazy to think that if by any means Haas were to get this young driver and would kind of risk it and give the driver a seat, would Schumacher go to Alpha Tauri?
Yeah, I think anything's possible. I don't. I mean, and I think it's all going to be discussed, and it's still being discussed, right? I mean, especially that if things have kind of soured with Schumacher and Haas and even Ferrari. By the way, shout out to Evan. What's going on, man? I sent you an email back, so get back at me when you see that email, Evan. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Vish.
No, I was just putting his comment up there. I didn't realize you had some side like scheming going on with Evan over
Always,
there. So
I'm always scheming, bro. I'm Cuban, man. We're always scheming. We're always figuring doing something. Come on now.
you're like total last Jody's protesting. I sent you an email. Did you read it?
Yeah, man. I got you, bro. I got you.
I honestly, so that actually kind of segues. Moni's kind of segues to another topic we're going to talk about. But like, what is the point of
Yeah.
AlphaTauri at this point? It's supposed to be developing Red Bull's young drivers, and Sonoda is that Gasly's already like failed at Red Bull. So would Mick make sense in there? Maybe from that if they're just trying to like run as a team and not as a Red Bull breeding ground, then sure, maybe bring some attention to the team. I don't honestly don't know what the point of AlphaTauri is at this point. Because they're not developing young drivers for Red Bull. They had to go get Checo to find someone that could competently drive the second car.
Right.
Who's even in the Red Bull's young driver program at this point? Not Yuri Vips anymore.
Nope, not Yuri Vips anymore. Right, he's not there anymore.
So I mean maybe that is the move. Now there were some rumors that because Honda agreed to kind of continue to support Red Bull, they would keep Yuki in that AlphaTauri seat at least for another year. So maybe that happens, but there's been no
Yeah, but Porsche's coming
announcement.
in, right? Porsche's taking like 50% of Red Bull.
Yeah, but that's like several years down the road. That's
Yeah.
almost the next iteration of the rules, like 2026. Honda agreed to stay in.
So then, at
Well,
least.
they're technically not in to continue to
Well,
provide
true,
support
true.
to whatever phrasing they use to not be.
It's a Red Bull powertrain. I get it.
Yeah, whatever it is. But so whether or not that's actually true that they agreed to keep Yuki, I don't know. I don't know what. I don't think that's doing anything for Honda anyway. It's all like weird. Like Honda's does not have their name on the engine, but they're helping continue to build and design it, and somehow want a Japanese driver forced into into an AlphaTauri seat. It's like it's all bizarre. I think AlphaTauri's kind of lost purpose. They're not
Yeah.
Red Bull's not bringing those drivers through the junior program anymore.
Well, okay, this is a good question. This is a good follow up to that, right? Like, if what you're saying kind of like continues to develop, and AlphaTauri just becomes sort of irrelevant, like who cares? Like they're not really doing anything to help Red Bull or develop younger drivers. Does that open the possibility for a new team to join Formula One, aka and I know this is probably not going to happen, but the Andretti's, right? Like something like that. Does it open up an opportunity or a possibility for another team to jump in and say, we're going to come in, we're going to be competitive, we're going to develop our drivers, we're going to bring in competitive drivers to Formula One? And does that kind of, or is there contractual agreements? Is all the other politics and everything else that has to do with F1?
So, I mean, F1's kind of like a franchise system now. So unless Red Bull like wants to give up that spot, they're not
Right.
going anywhere. So I don't know that's related to.
Well, there's also
Yeah.
been rumors that they're going to add on more teams, right?
Yeah, potentially. The problem with that is you gotta think of it like a pie, and everyone's got a certain size slice.
Right.
If you want to cut it one more, everyone's slice gets smaller unless adding them makes the pie that much bigger.
Right.
So anyone coming in has to really bring money with it. Is Andretti the team doing that?
Who knows? It depends on who they get in their NIL collective.
Well, true.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think Evan's right. All the teams have to accept it. But I think it's really just they have to come and say, here are the financials. This is how much more money you'll make by including us.
Does it
'Cause
make
there's
sense from an
technically-
economic standpoint, right?
Yeah, it's hard to see any additional team justifying slicing that pie an extra to an 11th piece. There are technically 20, I think 24 cars allowed. Like there's 12
That's what I was
teams that
gonna
are
say.
allowed.
It makes the grid a little more crowded, right?
Yeah, but it is slotted. We have had more than 10 teams fairly
Right.
recently, so there are great, like the F1's cap is actually 12 teams, 24 cars. So you
Gotcha.
could theoretically add two more. I will say because they've gone to this more collective kind of ownership model, this is the longest we've gone without a team failing. So, like, whatever they're doing is kind of working and brought stability. So I think there's a lot of reluctance to mix it up now and say, well, let's add another team, just because they've actually managed to, stabilize the grid to the point that teams used to come up and disappear in a year or two.
Right.
And again, fairly recently, like 10 years ago, if you look at the names of the teams, like what are all these?
Right. Yeah.
So now that it's kind of stable, I think it'll be hard to break in there. But I do wonder if Red Bull at some point just like we can stop with the AlphaTauri stuff. Maybe they're selling a lot of clothes. I don't know, but they're not really developing stuff for the F1 team.
What does Evan say here? The new team also has to pay 100 million just to get in. I thought it was 200 million. Is it just 100 to get in, which gets split, and then shared parts and customer teams helps with that? I don't get that. Shared parts and customer teams. Oh, I got it. Shared, like a shared team, like what Red Bull and AlphaTauri have.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah. I mean, I guess the one thing is it does allow them to have another team for their engine, running their engine. But
Right.
I mean, that car is so bad too now that it's not a competitive car.
Yeah. I got that. I got that. It's
Which
August.
I'll ask you this, like kind of
Yeah.
going back to the Alpine question. What about the other French driver, our man Gasly, in there?
Ooh, that'd be interesting, right? Both Frenchmen.
Got the French team with
Listen, I
the
think Gasly is a talented driver. I think that he just needs to be in the right car, right? That's where it comes into play. Is it the driver? Is it the car? I think that if he's a good driver with a good car, I think he's going to be more successful, more competitive. But that would be interesting to see the two Frenchmen in Alpine.
Well, I mean, he's got to know. I mean, Gasly, every time you interview him, is like, my dream is to get back to Red Bull and like in that race winning car. He's not going back there, and I think he's got to know that.
Not anytime soon.
So does he really want to stay in the junior team forever? I mean,
Yeah.
I think he's got to be looking to move on again. You look at the grid. It's really Alpine is the only place to move up to.
And this is the time to do it because there's a seat open there.
And
Unless
like you
you
said,
ask, yeah,
he's French.
and he's French.
So you get just like all French, him, Ocon, and just the French team.
Yep. Jack says Audi's F1 entry is seen as more favorable by F1 teams. Yeah. The only thing is they're not going to bring in a new team. They just bring in Audi will just take over one of the teams, right? Basically,
Yeah,
kind of like
it'll
what
probably be
Porsche is doing with Red Bull, right?
Yeah, probably some kind of a partnership.
Right. It'll be a partnership. So that'll be interesting to watch. The VW group. Well, they're already in with Porsche, so
Yeah,
Porsche is already in.
that's the other weird thing. Like Porsche is in, but then Audi's trying to get it's like the same company.
Yeah, I get it. Just let Volkswagen get into the actual just like a Jetta engine. What if we have like a Jetta engine in one of these cars? A souped up Jetta engine.
You put it in a Ferrari, it'll last longer. So.
Yeah, ain't that the
Oh
truth?
my gosh.
We're definitely get
You
lapped at
walked
least.
right into that one.
We'll get lapped a few times, but hey, listen, we'll finish the race, and that's what it's all about. All right.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna put the hard tires on anyway, you might as well have a stable engine.
In this generation, we'll get a participation trophy, and that's what matters in life now. Is a participation trophy apparently. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
You get a point for 10th place.
You guys better stop. We're still number 2 in the constructors. Okay, it's not like we're in the middle of the grid like your McLaren is. Okay, relax.
I mean, I'd settle for middle of the grid, but
Screw-
Danny Rick
screw
won't have
the-
it.
I don't want none of that. Oh man, screw the area. Yeah, how about screw you, Jack? Huh? How about hashtag screw you? Huh? VRC. VRC F1 engine, guys. Anyways, I think that that's enough for
I mean,
today.
there's 100% going to be a brake failure in the next race with Ferrari right after they recalled all their road car
Hey, wouldn't
brakes.
that be something? Wouldn't that be something?
My God.
Let's hope it's not a brake failure. All right.
Maybe it'll be a brake failure on Sainz and he'll just go straight into Max and wipe him out, and that'll actually be the turning point.
Now you're talking my language.
DNF.
Anyways, now you're talking. No, yeah. But here's the problem: knowing Max and the way that he drives it, he might get sideswiped, but his car won't get screwed up, and he'll turn it. He'll do complete 360 and just keep going
No,
because
it'll be Sainz hits Max, then somewhere in the back Latifi causes a red flag, so they get a
right.
chance to fix the car.
If anything, it'll be Sainz hitting Max in the back, but opening up his DRS, and his DRS will never close again, and he can just smoke everybody again. That's what'll happen to Max,
Yeah,
right?
that doesn't work well in the corners. Although it is Spa, so maybe
You never know.
Get that speed up the straight.
It doesn't matter. It all works well for Red Bull. Let's be honest. 16 days away, baby. 16 days away for Spa. All right, I can't wait. Can't get here any sooner. We've got 2 more shows before Spa, right? So next week, and then the following week is a preview for Spa, right?
Yeah, we'll be previewing
Nice.
Spa then. Yeah.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at F1_5reasons for all the latest updates on silly season. And also, of course, make sure you subscribe to the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel and smash the like button for us there. Give us a shout out at F1_5reasons on Twitter again. Moni, Vish. This was fun. I think we went longer than I anticipated, especially with slow season, silly, slow season here. Moni, don't forget to send out whatever you were going to send out.
Thank you for reminding.
And please send out your recommendations for conditioner as well.
I will. I got homework tonight.
Jack's luscious
Homework. You're
luscious
trying to tell us you don't know what conditioner you use?
You definitely know what conditioner you use.
What do you mean homework?
Me?
Yeah, you.
If I know what conditioner I use?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you just gotta tweet it out.
No, I'm saying like that's exactly that's the homework, not finding out what it is, but like
okay.
relaying the
Lessons.
message.
Herbal Lessons. Who uses Herbal Lessons anymore, Jack? I used to use Herbal Lessons like in 10th grade when I had more hair. That's why I wear a hat.
That's about today. You guys are all talking first world problems to be my third world ass. So.
We do use some beard oil though, some really good beard oil.
My hair is the Ferrari F1 strategy equivalent.
Oh my God, we need to have a fan panel with you and Jack. We not only you and Jack, but we need to have Fernie as Fernie Tapia as soon as he's done moving planes.
Moving his planes around.
We need to have Gus as well to come on and sexy time with Alex. Whenever he's not laying down next to his wife.
What is it? The Japanese Grand Prix is in the middle of the night. That's when we bring Alex.
That'll be the fun. That'll be the one. Fan panel as of now. Fan panel for the Japanese Grand Prix. Jack, Fern, Evan, and Gus, and maybe we'll get the guy from Nigeria again.
It wasn't Nigeria, dude. You just caused like an incident. It was
Zimbabwe. Where was it?
It was Kenya.
Kenya, Nigeria, Kenya. It's all in Africa, right?
Oh my God.
Well, hey, they're close. They might be close to each other. I don't know.
God, man, I didn't realize Yuri Vips dropped all the way down to hosting our show.
Wow, that's
It
rough.
was there.
That's rough. That's definitely not. That's definitely not. Much love to my people in Kenya. All right. I like the pit crew name. The pit crew. Well, we are the pit crew. Anyways, Jesus, we're out of here. We'll see you guys next Wednesday, 9:30. Laters.